The Lost Compass. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by vast forests and rolling hills, lived a young boy named Leo. Leo was full of energy and curiosity. While other children spent their days helping their parents in the fields, Leo could often be found wandering the village outskirts, climbing trees, or investigating the small creatures that lived in the forest. His dream was to become an explorer and discover hidden places no one had ever seen before. One sunny afternoon, as Leo played near the edge of the forest, he noticed something shiny among the fallen leaves. Curious, he crouched down and picked it up. It was an old, rusty compass. Unlike other compasses, this one had strange symbols etched around its face, and its needle spun wildly, even when he stood still. Leo rushed home to show his discovery to his grandfather, a retired sailor who often told stories about his adventures at sea. "Grandpa, look what I found!" Leo exclaimed, holding out the compass. His grandfather's eyes widened as he examined it. "This is no ordinary compass, Leo," he said in a hushed voice. "It once belonged to an ancient explorer named Elias Thorne. Legend says he used it to find a great treasure hidden deep in the forest. But one day he disappeared, and no one ever found the treasure. Or him." Leo's heart raced. "Do you think it could still lead to the treasure?" His grandfather nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But be warned, the forest is full of dangers. You must be brave and clever if you choose to follow it." That night, Leo could hardly sleep. He kept thinking about the treasure and what it could be. At dawn, he packed a small bag with food, water, a rope, and a lantern. With the compass in hand, he set out on his adventure. The forest was quiet except for the rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. Leo walked for hours, following the compass as its needle twitched and spun, eventually pointing in one steady direction. He crossed familiar paths, but soon found himself in parts of the forest he had never seen before. As he ventured deeper, Leo came across a wide stream. There was no bridge or shallow spot to cross. The water was cold and fast-moving. He remembered the rope in his bag and tied one end to a sturdy tree. With the other end in hand, he carefully crossed the stream, balancing on a fallen log. It wasn't easy, but Leo made it to the other side, his heart pounding with excitement. Further along, the compass led him to a dense thicket. Pushing through the brambles, Leo found himself in a small, hidden grove. In the center stood a tall stone pillar, covered in moss and strange carvings. The carvings matched the symbols on his compass. Leo examined the pillar closely and noticed a small inscription at its base. It read, "When the sun is highest, the path will be revealed." Leo looked up at the sky. It was almost noon. He decided to wait. As the sun reached its peak, a narrow beam of light hit the pillar, illuminating a specific direction in the grove. The compass needle aligned perfectly with the light. Leo followed the new direction and soon entered a part of the forest that felt darker and more mysterious. The trees were taller, their thick branches blocking most of the sunlight. Strange noises echoed around him. Rustling leaves, distant hoots, and the occasional snap of a twig. Suddenly, Leo heard a low growl. He turned to see a pair of glowing eyes staring at him from the shadows. It was a wolf. Leo's heart raced, but he remembered his grandfather's advice. Stay calm and think clearly. Slowly, he backed away, keeping his eyes on the wolf. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small piece of dried meat he had packed, tossing it to the wolf. He took the chance to slip away quietly while the animal was distracted. After what felt like hours, the forest began to thin. Leo emerged into a large clearing where a massive oak tree stood. Its ancient trunk was carved with more symbols, and at its base was a mound of earth. Leo quickly began to dig with his hands. Soon, his fingers hit something hard. It was a small wooden chest bound with iron. Leo opened it carefully. Inside, he found not gold or jewels, but something far more valuable: old maps, journals, and strange artifacts from distant lands. The journal belonged to Elias Thorne himself and detailed his incredible discoveries, from hidden valleys to mysterious ruins. But the most valuable treasure of all was a simple message written on the first page of the journal. The greatest treasure is the knowledge and courage gained through adventure. Leo returned to the village as a hero. He shared the maps and stories with everyone, inspiring the villagers to explore and learn about the world beyond their small home. His grandfather was especially proud, calling Leo the bravest explorer he had ever known. From that day on, Leo continued to seek new adventures, always carrying the magical compass that had led him to the greatest treasure of all: wisdom and courage.